I love you. Gentlefolk, ladies and men, we're glad to have you here again. So please, won't you come on in and sit with us on the couch? I am the Green Traveler from Goose.
And I am the Faceless Leon. Pretty please, come on in here.
Yeah?
Yeah, this is Green Faceless on the Couch. This is a podcast about movies and television. And we're talking about some movies. This is a special episode we do once a month called The Potato Pick. You are all couch potatoes. This has been determined by law. And I'm a lawyer.
Yeah, we also accept the terms French fry flick and tater tot threesome.
That's right, this episode. It sure can be called that. Our patrons from Patreon at patreon.com/greenfaceless, they're generous enough to support us, so we get them all in on voting for an episode once a month. And here we are.
And I believe, even though this was submitted by my mother, I am fairly confident that these are my father's films. These are some of his favorites, and I hope I don't disappoint him today, especially with one of them. I figure he knows. I figure he knows what our opinion will be on it, but it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a very reminiscing episode of talking about my youth, growing up on Gorsh. Actually, my father is Earthian, so like he's a human being, but you know, kind of like Clark Kent situation. I kind of like landed here. They adopted me, and like we're like, well, we could probably disguise him a little bit. So just say he looks a little ill. That's why he's so green.
That he is. It is sickly, man.
I can pull it off with enough makeup. It looks a little normal.
Oh, I didn't know you were wearing makeup
all day, every day. So let's get into it. Let's go all the way back to our oldest film of the Potato Pick, born the very same year as my father, Father Goose.
Oh.
That's not what I call my father. That is the name of the movie. Father Goose.
The name of the movie, starring Cary Grant and Leslie Caron, or I think that's how you say it, anyways.
I would say Caron, yeah.
Playing Walter and Catherine.
Thank you.
Get that, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's Cary Grant's penultimate film. This is the second to last movie he'll ever be in. And
I didn't know that.
I mean, dude's a fucking master at the craft. Like,
he's
let's be honest.
He's a really good actor. He really is.
Yeah, even if you've never seen older films that he was in, if you know movies, you know the name Cary Grant. If you're just completely clueless, you probably never heard the name before, you probably don't even know who Frank Sinatra is, so it's no point. But I know some people who don't even know who Frank Sinatra is, and it still makes me want to cry.
Yeah.
I guess I bring Frank Sinatra up because he covers the song that's introduced in this movie, and that's the version I know of this song.
Yeah, that's the version I know too.
Yeah. This song, "Pass Me By," first came to be in this movie. Here it's sung by Cy Coleman and Carolyn Lee. And it's a beautiful fucking song. I don't want to sing it because I won't do it justice.
Yeah, no.
And I'm embarrassed of my singing voice.
Listen about music, not music, movies. They came here for the movies, not the music.
Oh, we can talk music though.
we can talk music. We
can cut that time out of the second film.
I don't think they want us to sing. That's not a critique on you, because I too, every once in a while, feel the urge to break into song, but I hold it back.
That's the thing, is people talk about musicals and they're just like, oh man, it's not realistic. Nobody bursts into a song like this. I'm like, bitch, I don't know about you, but I burst into a song like this every fucking day. Like,
yeah, it's the question best is whether or not when you're alone.
Well, that's the thing, is like, yeah, the question is whether or not, if you're not alone and the people join in with you. If they join in, then you have a musical.
Then you have a musical.
Most often they don't join in. They just kind of look at you, and some of them are like, will you shut the fuck up? You know, like, what the hell are you doing? You get a lot of things thrown at you if you start singing in public.
And some just don't know what they're looking at, and they just unblinkingly watch. And
yeah. It's just like, street performers, fuck. Father Goose. We're here for Father Goose.
Yeah, we're here for Father Goose.
Yeah, directed by Ralph Nelson. Written by Peter Stone, Frank Tarloff. And it's based off of a story called A Place of Dragons by Sanford Barnett. Never read any of that or heard of any of those people.
Of dragons.
A Place of Dragons. I don't know if the kids are supposed to be the dragons, if that's like the
I don't know.
The
or if they
implication.
super Disneyfied the movie or something,
They probably super Disneyfied the movie.
What if there wasn't even kids in the book?
It's just he's in World War II, he's just a spotter, and he finds on this island just a bunch of dragons.
Yeah.
I love it. Alright, we're rebooting Father Goose, but with this idea.
So, Walter, he's an American who lives in the Pacific, all of it, wherever he wants to go. And
that's all it is.
And, I've actually met a couple people like that. It's, they have some interesting thoughts on life, and so does Walter. But his main objective is to get drunk. And so he's stealing some provisions from a dock. And the harbor master, played by Trevor Howard, he comes out and is like, "Oh, hello, Walter. Yes, yada, yada, yada." And he's just like letting him load all this stuff on it. And his underling, I believe, called Stebbings, played by Jack Good, he's like, "You can't let him do this. This is wrong. I'm such a cadet." And Trevor Howard, he convinces through some of the most hilarious hijinks and manipulation that I really enjoyed his character. I think he might have been my favorite character.
Yeah, Frank is fucking phenomenal. I love him so much. Just and that's okay. It speaks volumes about Cary Grant's acting that the dude can have me rolling on the floor just by saying Frank over and over again. Just like him talking on the radio, just like all of it, Frank. All of it, Frank. That's just it. It's so simple. It's absurd. I mean, it's absurdly low. I don't want to say lowbrow, but it's just easy comedy, and it's great for that. It's just so good. It's just so calming.
It's also great because this is set during World War II, and if you don't know history at all, the Allies were fighting primarily against the Japanese in the Pacific Ocean. Yes, so he convinces Walter to be a spotter on the island, call out planes and ships, and shit like that. And he does
convinces is more like Shanghais him and tosses him, maroons him on an island.
He does maroon him on an island. He does.
He really does.
It's like one of those things, you could tell that Frank and Walter go way back. And
there's some good backstory revenge going on here.
Yes. So it's all kind of in good fun, but he does definitely break the shit out of his boat. He's like, "Oh, I guess you're gonna have to dock it on this island that we're at."
Sorry, Frank. Didn't mean to. We'll send a ship by to pick you up.
Shit. So,
it's good.
Anyhow, eventually, he gets asked to do more than what is probably his job as a spotter, and he goes to go rescue this other guy. But instead he finds Leslie Caron playing Catherine, a school teacher for this school at an embassy for ambassadors' children. So he's got, I don't know, what is it, like a baker's dozen or something like that?
I want to say it's 8. It's something around there. I can't remember the exact amount. I'm trying to think of how many could fit in that tiny boat that was what they were all
they
in.
all went in one trip in his dinghy.
Yeah, and he had to row almost the whole way, pretty much. I feel bad for him sometimes.
What was it that Frank said when he went out to do it? He said, "Oh, and Walter, the moon is quite full tonight." And then Cary Grant picks up the radio. He's like, and why would I need to know that?
He's like, what exactly is the situation you're sending me in here, you asshole? There's so many moments where it's like I feel bad for Frank or for Walter, for Cary Grant, but at the same time, his blunt attitude, like he's a bit of a dick sometimes. Like, so you feel bad for him. And then also, like, you are rooting for him because he's a very charismatic and very caring person. Even if he does hold you at arm's length, he definitely feels.
Yeah, and you know, when they get to his backstory too, it's like, you know, I feel like I could get to know that guy. He seems cool. Yeah,
and I like his backstory. It's nice and simple. It's a little too much weight put on a necktie incident, but still.
Yes.
That is the downfall with this movie. It does have a few too many far-reaching elements. So, like, the relationship between Walter and Catherine.
That is too far. I mean, that is the one part that I actually disliked about the movie, is that they get in a slapping match, and then they get married. Spoilers.
Here's the thing, though. I don't know how many World War II romance stories you've heard, but that's how a lot of them I've heard go. Is I've heard so many stories where it's like, such and such soldier met the nurse that first day. He was smoking a cigarette and the nurse was like, you better not be smoking that in my fucking like lounge area. I'm going to beat the fucking tar out of you. 6 days later, they were married. And it's like, those are like legit war stories you hear of like couples that go on to be married for like 50, 60 years. That was just World War II romance.
But I don't know, man. I
don't like it either.
I mean, sure. I think it is a trope, is what it is. Yeah. And for us, when we see it in the modern lens, it's like, what the fuck? You guys just beat the shit out of each other. Now you're going to get married. Okay, sure.
I know. It's absolutely ridiculous. I agree with you. From the modern eye set or viewpoint, it definitely is weird, and I didn't like it, especially when I was rewatching. I was like, oh man, that is a really quick shift.
I will say that I did laugh, but just because of how jarring it is. It's like, it is literally like, she slaps him, he slaps her back. She slaps him, he slaps her back. And then the screen moves, and they're like getting ready to get married. That is literally what it happens.
There's more to it, because he puts a ring on her finger, or like he goes out. Wait, no, that happens in the wedding scene. Never mind. Yeah, because the wedding scene takes like 10 fucking minutes because they get attacked halfway through.
That was a good scene.
So long.
That was a good scene. I just wish they would have. I just wish it wasn't the slapping match, because they were already building a relationship. So this was not as severe of a switch as like the African Queen. It actually had some build up. But it had just like this climactic moment of them slapping each other, which I think they could have done. It was a comedic bit. It was. Yeah. But, you know, just from our modern lens, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit well.
But boy, was it hilarious, especially when you get Frank's reaction, where he's just sitting in the Navy base, and they're just like, Mother Goose and the big bad wolf want to get married. And he's just like, what? And he's like, you're telling me? He just gets so pissed off. He's like, there's no fucking way.
That's
right.
But
that is my biggest negative with the movie, is that entire switch there.
Yeah.
And then there's other moments too where it's a little hard to take at face value, like when the soldiers come up on the beach and they're looking around, and Frank is literally, like, I know he's in khaki clothing, and I know he's like lying low to the ground covering that child on the beach, but they're right out in the open.
Yeah.
The camera can't pick it up. The camera doesn't see it. But I feel like human eyes would still have seen them at that distance. It happens in the third act. It's a very tense moment, or it's trying to be. And the whole time I'm sitting there like, how the fuck do they not see them? Like,
yeah, that one I'm willing to chalk up to movie magic, you know. Like,
right.
Yeah, sure, they probably would have gotten caught in that situation. But they were those Japanese soldiers were just looking for turtles. They weren't looking for peoples.
Yeah, that's true. I know. That is the other argument. They weren't looking at rocks and things, which is what their bodies would have looked like. They were looking for shiny stuff. And then there's the moment too where it's just where the Japanese soldiers are like, maybe we should get coconuts instead. Maybe we can appease him with that.
Yeah.
And then there's one girl who's hiding up in the coconut tree, and Cary Grant's like freaking out, like, oh fuck. There's so many good moments that the negatives don't irritate me too much.
I don't think so. And especially since I am able to look at it and say this is a movie from a long time ago. Things in society were different then. Which that's another thing. I don't recall a single person of color. No, there were some people working on the docks, but still, that's the same.
Yeah. But I mean, for a 60s romantic comedy, like, it's good. It's really fun. Good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it brings back a lot of warm memories of just watching this with my family, because, again, this was one of my father's favorite films. We watched this a lot. This was, probably a once a year, once every other year kind of movie that we would just end up putting on when we were bored. And it delivers a lot of good comedic moments. Great acting from Cary Grant. Excuse me? Oh, God. Great acting from Cary Grant. And I also like Leslie Caron. I think she does good acting as well. She does. But Cary Grant is what him and Trevor Howard are what carry this film for.
Yeah, I think the kids are pretty cute too. There is this one moment between her and Walt that would not be in a movie today, but it was also it was. I feel like it was framed well enough for the audience member to understand that he was teasing her and trying to get her to run away. But, I think it was framed.
I think it was framed just well enough, but I think they should have done just a little more to make it more obvious of a joke, because it still was riding the edge of ooh, kid.
Yeah, he scared her. He kind of scared her.
It's really weird.
Yeah, it is really weird, and she is the one who initiated it, and then he's like, okay, you're 11.
He was like, all right, kid, come on now. And a fun thing too is that only one, and I don't know which one, but only one of the child actors was a professional child actor. The rest were all
really.
Yeah, the director really wanted to avoid child actors. He wanted it to feel very natural, and they were pretty damn good. They're really good. I got it.
Yeah. And a couple of them didn't even speak English.
Right. And I'm personally attached to Harry, just because it's I feel like there's, even though they don't talk about it at all, I feel like there's a transsexual message there, even though it's not at all mentioned. Harry, there's one child Harry. Who they'll be like, Harriet, can you please grab the plates? And she's like, it's pronounced Harry. And it's just oh, sorry, Harry, dear. And it's just I just feel like even though it's not at all approached or talked about, there's just a subtle little transgender message there, and I love Harry just for that reason.
Yeah, Harry's fun. I don't know if she was the youngest one or not, but I did want to mention that Anne was played this little girl's name. They're probably a little bit more than an adult now, but their name is Pip Sparkles.
Pip Sparkles?
No, excuse me, Pip Sparks. There's no L. But I really thought it was Pip Sparkles for just a second, and that would have been amazing.
That would have been amazing. Now I have to edit the entire damn thing out. It's no longer funny. Pip Sparks. But no, I think that's my thoughts on Father Goose. I really enjoy it. A little bit of a rough third act when there's that weird transition into love that hasn't aged. I mean, and the joke with the one child who's hitting on him.
Yeah,
there's some moments that haven't aged well, but the comedy's freaking great and the acting is a lot of fun. And now that I'm
mostly it's cute.
Yeah, exactly. And now that I'm an adult and actually understand the story, mostly when I watched this as a kid, I only watched it for the jokes. I didn't really pay attention to what was going on. Now that I'm an adult and understand the story, it's a lot more enjoyable, because it's you understand the tension more, especially around the World War II time period. Because, like, as a kid, I didn't get that. I was like 4 or 5 watching this a lot and like, oh, I don't know what the hell's going on, but this is hilarious. Dad's laughing.
It's in the background enough. The war is. It's in the background enough that a kid probably wouldn't recognize there was something bad going on.
And it's funny because, like, Wikipedia calls it like a romantic comedy war film. And I know there's enough war elements in it that I guess it's a war film, but like it's not at all a war film. It's just a nice little romantic comedy set in a war period. And I give it 3 stars.
That's a good rating. I give it a face. I enjoyed it. I'd probably watch it again sometime, but probably not anytime soon. I've seen movies that do the same thing. It's not really an original story, but I do think that Cary Grant did it really well. And so did all these children and Leslie Caron. And like we said, Trevor Howard really kind of stole the show, and he's not in a good portion of it. I don't know why I really thought he was great.
He really was great. And like, especially being on one location for most of it. Like, he has that bit on the dock and on the ship at the beginning and end. But most of it, he is just in that military room. So knowing movie magic, all of his shit was probably done in one fucking day. Like, yeah. And it was probably not even, Cary Grant, I would assume, was hopefully there, or like somebody was there to read Cary Grant's lines. But like, most of the time he is just talking to Cary Grant through a walkie, right? Like through a microphone. Like, they're not facing each other, and yet the humor is so damn good, even though they're not looking at each other.
Hopefully, I think they probably had some rehearsal, to get an idea of what each other would do. And then they went and recorded it. But yeah, still, not having that person there, just remembering how they said it, that's talent. That's
exactly.
It's not easy.
It's great. It's good movie magic. It's a lot of fun. A good Hollywood 60s film. Let's move on to a bad film.
Yeah, from the 80s. Should we
get soda, like refreshments and shit to prepare ourselves?
Yeah, right. I need a smack in the face, really. Have you seen Cary Grant?
You want him to smack you in the face?
He'll smack me in the face and set me straight.
I'm not sure exactly what kind of services you're requesting of Cary Grant here.
No, I don't think I want to get married. That part, I'm not so into that. I already have a ring. Yeah. No, I need to wake up a little bit and prepare myself for Porky's. That's what I gotta do.
That's fair. If Cary Grant wanted to be my sugar daddy, like if he were still alive and wanted to be my sugar daddy, by all means.
Yeah.
I'll say it.
Well. Soda pop.
I feel like I could blame Porky's for a lot of my issues as an adult.
Oh, yeah?
A lot of my ignorance can probably come back to this movie. No, are you frozen?
We're back?
Oh, no, you were just...
Are we back?
You were perfectly still. Yeah, we're back.
Okay.
But yeah, as I was saying, I feel like I could perfectly blame this film, Porky's, from 1981, for all of my ignorances as a kid. Solely because, well, it's a very smut movie.
Yeah.
That was on. It was on a lot as a kid, specifically because it was the only movie I knew of in our catalog, in our whole library of films. They had boobies in a lot of them.
Yeah.
And so
sure
growing
does have boobies in it.
Yeah. Growing Green Traveler was like, oh, boobs. I like those. And so this movie was on a lot. And yeah, that's how I feel, Zelda. I feel bad about it because now I haven't watched this movie for like a decade and a half since I was probably a teenager. But my brother and I got in trouble with this movie, and I think after that we didn't watch it or something. I can't remember. I don't remember the story very well. I was too young.
Well, you didn't watch it for the story.
Yeah, no, I definitely didn't watch it for the story. But I meant the story of how we got in trouble with the movie. He snuck it into my backpack when we were going to our grandmother's house for the weekend. And I know he's going to say, I didn't sneak it in there, you took it. No, he snuck it into my backpack. As I said, I don't remember the story, so it's very possible I stole it. But
you just blamed it on him. You blamed it on him so hard that you believed it.
Well, I'm like, that's the problem. Is I'm the younger brother, so I blame everything on him.
Yeah.
So like one time I hit a rock through the window, and like my brother and I were playing. We always would like go outside and hit rocks. We had a gravel driveway, and so we would just go out there with baseball bats and just hit rocks because we love baseball so much. And we're creepy serial killer kids. And one day we were just hitting the rocks, and he hits one over the house. He's like, "I bet you can't do that." And I was like, "I bet I can." And I hit a rock right through the window. And Dad comes storming out, going, "What the fuck are you doing? Swinging and hitting rocks right at the fucking house." And I was like, "Well, it's Junior's fault. He told me I couldn't do it." I was so much the younger brother. It was always my brother's fault. And I blame him for the Porky's incident. I fully believe that he put it in my backpack or in his own backpack. And our grandmother found it and called my mother. They called Mom and were like, there's this movie that your kids have brought over here and tried to watch.
Did you try to watch it with your grandma?
No, we did not try to watch it with her. She went to bed very early. She was a 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. kind of like conking out. And so I think she had went to the bedroom to go to sleep, and we were like, "Now is our chance." And she came out to use the bathroom because she was a like 60-year-old lady. Oh, we've got a lot of sirens going on. Hold on a second. Zelda's gonna go howling. Wow, she did. She didn't. I'm surprised.
Wow, that was so surprising to you that you jumped.
I was scared. Like I was just like, she's totally gonna howl, and she just sat there the whole time, just like, nope. I'm not letting this one bother me. But I don't know if you can hear them.
I can hear them just a little bit.
Some shit went down. I saw a tow truck going, and I just saw an ambulance and 4 police cars. So something's going down.
Uh-oh.
But to get to this movie, to get to the smut. You summarized the last one. I will go ahead with Porky's. We're at a high school.
In Florida.
A lot of pervy teenager high schoolers just getting fucked. You know, that's what they do, I guess.
I think it's based in, like, the late 50s, too.
Yeah, Dwight Eisenhower's president. They mentioned that on the radio. You start off with a young man nicknamed Pee-wee. I don't remember what his real name is. Edgar. I think it started with an E. But they call him Pee-wee. He's very obsessed with needing to get laid. He's a poor virgin in high school. I mean, God, that has to suck. And, you know, he's just got to get laid. That's his entire character. And he is played by, I think I wrote his name down. I did not.
Pee-wee is Dan Monahan.
Dan Monahan, thank you. Yeah, he is, he was famous at the time. He was in something before this that was like got him big attention, and he did this, and I don't know where his career went after that. I don't remember him in many things. I'm sure he was.
Let me see. He seemed familiar to me.
Yeah, I couldn't place a lot of these
Geniuses.
People. I don't know if I've seen that.
He played a reporter in that. He was in the other 2 Porky's movies.
Yeah, I do know him for the other 2 Porky's movies. We watched all 3 of them, I gotta say. They were all as lewd as this one. The second one might be honestly better than this one. The other 2 movies I don't really remember much of. I know we watched them. I know the second one involves a play. They're doing Shakespeare, and I remember there's a very hilarious scene in that my brother and I have always, there's a lot of inside jokes that have come from these films, all 3 of these films.
Right.
But a lot of jokes from Porky's that, like, sadly, we found so funny that they are like inside jokes, and one of them is the sword fight in the second film. They fight with legs, and it's really fucking hilarious. The mannequin legs, because they're supposed to have swords, play swords, and it said they one of them draws a play sword, the other one doesn't have a sword. And he's like, "Oh shit, a sword, a kingdom for a sword!" And somebody throws him out a mannequin leg, and he's just like, "Okay." They start fighting with that. It has some moments. It's at least kind of funny. But Pee-wee, this movie starts off with Pee-wee waking up. He checks his penis size because he is very particular about his growth. He has a growth chart to measure his size. He is very upset that it has been getting shorter. That is a very key plot point, I guess.
3 years and damn thing's getting shorter.
It is! It's getting shorter! Fuck! So mad about that. And you go to the high school, you have all the crazy high schooler antics. You've got, they're all joking around, having fun, making fun of each other. I guess all of them are having sex with each other. That's implied a lot. That, such and such girl has been with such and such guy, or such and such guy has been with such and such girl. And everybody is just horny. Everybody.
Horny.
And
so horny.
And it's like, I feel like when I watched this as an adult, I was sitting there and I'm just like, man, did I just miss out on high school?
Right, yeah.
I was so busy not paying attention to anybody else. I was like, I don't fucking care.
I thought, I thought I was pretty horny, but I did not do any of this stuff. I think, this movie also, like we said, it's based in the Eisenhower era. They didn't have video games. They probably would be lucky to find a social club for people their age.
Right.
There's nothing else to do in Florida but screw, I guess.
I guess, man. Go down to the sister town and go to Porky's strip club out there and get laid.
And Porky just about owns the county.
Yeah, his brother's the sheriff.
His brother's the sheriff.
Or cousin's the sheriff, something like that.
It's in the Everglades. I was going to say Bayou, but it's in the Everglades.
Right.
Porky's is.
Oh, man.
And it is this strip club that has Porky's playpen.
It's kind of a
top layer.
It's kind of a Shady Side, Sunnyvale kind of thing. I don't remember if I'm remembering those names of those towns right from Fear Street, but it's kind of like that, where where Pee-wee and all of them go to high school, is a very classy neighborhood, and then you go down into the Porky's area, and it's just like the southern redneck area where everything is just overgrown and everybody's spitting, and they're all like hawking loogies and shit.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
Yeah, but that's this whole movie. It's pretty nasty.
Yeah, that's true.
It's very demeaning to women. It's got so many terrible racist moments. It tries to have an anti-Semitic message. It tries.
Is it just Semitic?
A Semitic message?
No, I don't think so. I think it has a tolerance. It has a tolerance message for sure.
Yeah. There's a new kid at the school. I don't remember his name. Brian? No, Brian's it is Brian.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian Schwartz.
I think that. Yeah, and
Scott Columby.
And Billy he's the only character I really like in this whole movie. Billy is. And he is trying to get everybody to include Brian in their activities. He's he's the new kid at the school, and he's like, I think he's pretty fun. Like, let's include him, when we go out to Pee-wee or when we go out to Porky's and get laid.
But he's Jewish.
But everybody's against it because he's Jewish. Yeah.
It's not Meat, because Meat doesn't seem to do anything wrong, if I recall, besides, I don't remember. I mean, they're all awful, really.
Meat's just a horny boy, but it's fine because at the same time he is a funny character that I like.
Right. He's a football player, but he wanted to go to like Princeton or something, and they didn't accept him.
Yeah.
But it was like the only school that he applied to that didn't accept him. He has like full rides to other places.
Yeah, exactly.
So good at the sports
I do like
ball.
Meat. He is nicknamed Meat because he has a deformed penis. Yeah. It's apparently very massive. He's played by Tony Ganios, and Billy is played by Mark Harrier.
Right.
I should say. And again, Billy is the one character I really liked because he is the only person that's kind of tolerable, and he's also tolerant. It's just he is just the nice kid. Like, he doesn't go with them to Porky's until the very end when they enact revenge on Porky for beating up one of their friends.
The most racist of them.
Yeah,
because even the guy who is anti-Semitic at the end was like, "Hey, Brian," he didn't apologize. But he showed Brian that he really wants to be his friend. And he stood up to his own dad, his super racist, abusive dad. I don't remember the name of this guy. I think it's Tim, played by Cyril O'Reilly, but I'm not sure. We're supposed to feel bad that the most racist of the characters goes over to Porky's and gets the shit beat out of him. And then he goes back again and almost dies.
Yep.
Yeah, and we're supposed to feel bad for him, but I just don't.
I don't either. And we're supposed to feel like Porky is the villain, which, questionable strip club out in the middle of nowhere. Like, sure, like he is probably not a good person. That is not on the table here. He's definitely a bad individual, or at least a sleazy individual.
Yeah.
But this kid is underage, coming to his strip club, constantly harassing him. Like, obviously he shouldn't beat the fuck out of this kid.
No.
But they go and they destroy his entire fucking business.
The whole thing. But the thing is, so you say that from his perspective, he's the one who's being harassed. I get that. But, however, there are several characters in the film that are older than the high schoolers that don't like Porky, that feel like Porky did them wrong. And they join in and help to destroy Porky's. Yeah.
But they also mentioned that they feel like he did them wrong when they were in high school, when they were underage kids as well. Because the coach is like, yeah, when I was a senior, I went out there and he beat the fuck out of me for trying to enter his floor or his bar when I was young, underage. Like,
I've always wanted to get back at him. That was Coach Brackett, played by
Coach Brackett. Gaines. Yeah, who has a hilarious and unnecessary subplot going throughout this movie, where he is attracted to the cheerleaders, like assistant coach or whatever, who is played by Kim Cattrall from Sex and the City. I watched this whole movie. I'm just like, I know that face, and then immediately I'm like, all right, I just gotta look up who that is, and I pull it up. I'm like, oh, she's, who was it? It was Samantha, I think. I think I wrote it down somewhere.
I have not watched this.
I haven't watched all of it.
I am looking at it, and I mean, you wouldn't recognize her. She's extremely young in Porky's,
right? Yeah, she's much younger, like probably 20. I would say 15 years younger. She does play Samantha. I found my note. It's just so unnecessary. There's a whole running gag about it, and it's so stupid when it finally happens. It's like, oh, okay, sure. But it's all to set up his character for the end, to bring the coach in at the end so he could just help out the kids. There's so many stupid things in this film. And that's one of them. That whole subplot, even though I laugh at it, mainly because of the coach's banter, and it's like, all right, you sleazy old fucks. Mm-hmm. But, like, I don't want to spend too much time on this film any much longer.
No, yeah, I don't either. I'm sorry that I feel like we're shitting on your dad's favorite movie here, but it's just so dated. That is the thing. It goes against all the things that we have been working hard to do better on. You and me personally.
Yeah, and to credit critics back in the 80s, I know specifically Roger Ebert didn't like this film, but like a lot of them, didn't like it. It was very immature, I feel like what a lot of them were saying, and I feel like it goes much further beyond immature. It's very indecent, and
I'm not going to say I didn't laugh at times.
Right. There are definitely nostalgic moments where I remember my childhood watching this film, but. I mean, okay, like one running gag that I know I do a lot is the Mike Hunt stuff. Like,
yes.
I name a lot of video game characters Mike Hunt, mainly because of this movie. Like, if you don't get the joke, just say that out loud a couple times. Maybe you'll get it.
Wendy, played by Khaki Hunter, she gets prank called by Pee-wee to ask for Mike Hunt. That is the whole joke, and I've explained it to the point where it is no longer funny, and now you can't do it anymore.
I think Wendy is another character that has a better role in the second movie. I think there's more to her character.
Okay.
Yeah, so because in this one she's just used as
she is, as they said, loose, and
and they milked that for all it's worth.
And Pee-wee lost his chance,
or did he?
I don't know. No, later, yeah.
In the post-credits scene, yeah, he gets a second chance. Did you give it stars already? I haven't yet. I will lead into my closing notes with 2 fun facts. I think the gym teachers' names are hilarious. The female is named Ballbreaker. Ballbricker. Ballbricker. And the male's name is Good Enough.
Good enough.
just the laziest fucking names they could come up with. And the second fun fact is this movie is directed by Bob Clark. And some of you might know Bob Clark as the director of Black Christmas. He did a fun 70s slasher. I think we've talked about it. If we haven't, I know I've watched it at least. It's an interesting slasher. He also directed and is most famous for A Christmas Story.
Well, there you go. Maybe that's why my dad was hesitant about A Christmas Story. He said, I can't remember what's in this movie. I just remember that I like it. And we watched it anyways. And I'm sure there was 1 or 2 things that my stepmom was like, what? Gasp!
Right.
But that's a good movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's a good, decent family movie. So it's hilarious to think that Bob Clark also directed Porky's. He also, I think he also wrote it. He wrote it with Roger Swaybill. And because of filming issues, they had to, they ended up having to like fund it through Canada or something. I can't remember how it went. They couldn't get any production company in America to film it. Like everybody they went to turned them down. Like why. Big surprise. Yeah, right. So I think they went to Canada, and because of that, like Roger Swaybill wasn't allowed to be added as a credit for writing this film, but he still got paid for it. So, I think that he might have gotten the good end of the deal there, where it's like he wrote a smut comedy film and didn't have to be known for it until now when I outed him on the internet. You outed him. I give it 1.5 stars. I do not recommend it. It's a god-awful film. I'm really sorry I watched it so much as a kid. I think it was a bad influence.
I am sorry that I watched it.
You feel like you need to take a shower?
I do, but I have showered since I seen it, so
that's good.
I'm good. You don't want to get you don't want to get me wet too often, because then I start absorbing it. And then I kind of turn a little it's just a bit muddy. I start leaving bits behind.
Clayface-ish.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Gross.
Anyhow, I give it half a face. Sorry, guys.
Do you have a no face award?
Not yet.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say this is no face. I at least got some chuckles out of it. And, I mean, I can't say that I don't enjoy looking at boobs, so...
Right. It's not bad.
No.
In a consensual environment, it's not bad.
No, it's fun.
There's a lot of unconsensual moments in this film that become consensual, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess.
Yeah, it's weird. It's bad boys being boys shit that, you gotta watch out for that shit. Gotta watch out for holes in the shower.
There were tunnels under my school, but I don't think any of them led to the showers, alright? Like, I explored a lot of the tunnels because I didn't go to class a lot, and I knew where a lot of the location of the entrances were, and then eventually the vice principal was like, alright, I'm just gonna give this kid a tour and hope that stops him from coming down here. It did. The curiosity was gone. But it was fun. It was a great time. But, I don't think any of them led to the shower. In this movie, there's just a crawl space that leads to the shower where they could just lift up the spouts and look into the girls' locker room. What the fuck? Oh, bad design. Lord. Bad designing. Yes.
No, nothing is designed that way. I mean, if this is inspired by somebody's true life.
Yeah.
It is based on someone's life?
Either Bob Clark or Roger Swaybill wrote it about experiences of their high school life. So I don't know if that detail specifically was part of their high school. I don't want to, imply, but it seems like one of those like biographical kind of things that you would write into a story. Oh man, I remember sneaking down to go see the girls in the shower. Okay, Grandpa.
I think this might be one of my stepdad's favorite films too.
It's a generational thing.
Maybe. So let's be done with that. Let's wash our hands of this.
Let's flush the toilet.
Goodbye, Porky turd. I mean, Porkies. Secondhand Lions.
Hell yeah.
I enjoy this movie. That's how
it's very cute.
With that. It's very good, very endearing. Still always brings a thump into my heart. And
same.
A lot, like, I feel like if you mix the two characters of Garth and Hub, played by Michael Caine and Robert Duvall, you'd get my grandpa.
Yeah. I didn't personally know my grandfathers, but all the older men in my life that like to tell stories were these two men.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can agree with that.
And it is a good movie of how Walter, played by Haley Joel Osment,
who he sees dead people.
He sees dead people, and he also is in Future Man, and now I can't think of him without laughing. And another thing that we actually, I think, talk. I don't know if you cut out the things I say about Kingdom Hearts, or if I don't actually say them on microphone, but it doesn't matter. He plays Sora for the voice in the English version. And
I'm sure he also does live motion capture for all the spin jumps and kicks and everything.
Yeah, of course. I mean, how else would they get it? I mean,
right? It's so realistic.
He stands there with his hands behind his head, with those little balls on like his wrist, elbows, and armpit.
Hate that stance. The least favorite thing about those games.
The whole experience. That's your least favorite thing.
And I gotta say, Haley Joel in this movie, it's not my favorite live action performance of his. I'm very much a Sixth Sense fan. I haven't seen a lot of his older films, like a lot of what he's done since he aged.
You've seen Forrest Gump, though.
Yeah, and like I've seen that. I've seen Sixth Sense. There's another one. I think a Steven Spielberg film where he plays like an alien or something. I can't remember. But like he has a lot of like small films that I've watched, but this is the one I've seen the most. Mm-hmm. Even though it's not it's my least favorite performance of his. Not my least favorite, but one of my least favorite, because he's outclassed here so well by Robert Duvall. Robert Duvall is so goddamn great in this film. and it doesn't at all ruin the performances of Michael Caine or Haley Joel. They just fall under his shadow for me, because they just kind of fall under what he's doing.
Yeah, Hub is the perfect character for Robert Duvall. Like, he's basically just playing himself. I'm pretty sure. Right. And, we got Southern Michael Caine, so that's already a little bit of dissonance, if you know Michael Caine. He did great. I mean, I love his accent work in it. But, you can tell just a little bit that he's putting on an accent while Robert Duvall is talking like Robert Duvall.
Right. And the movie also shifts, like halfway through it shifts from, I mean, it mostly focuses on Robert Duvall's character when you get to know the uncles, that is.
Yes.
But there is a shift from Michael Caine telling the story to Robert Duvall telling the story. And from there, it becomes more emotional, and you feel more for Robert Duvall's character. Right. So it's like Michael Caine just kind of in that third act, or second and third act, just kind of falls a little back behind the curtain there, and it just becomes more of Haley and Robert acting it out, and it's still very beautiful. I want to give Michael Caine credit; he does a great job.
And also, you got to give Haley Joel credit too, because like you said, he is outclassed, but he's trying to keep up, and I think he does a pretty good job. I mean, he also got to think he's at like the preteen to teenager age,
right?
in this movie, and not in real life. I mean, his face doesn't age, but that's a different story.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if you've seen him with his beard, but like when he grows a beard, it's hilarious. Yeah, his face still hasn't aged, but the beard makes him look different.
Yeah, no, I actually think it looks quite good on him. And I'm a beard man myself, so
right.
But he just still looks like Haley Joel Osment from
he's still
down until you get to his nose. And,
I will give him credit, and also part of why his character kind of disappears for me in this film. I mean, he's the narrator character; he's the most important character because he's we're seeing it all through his eyes. But I feel like there's not much asked of his character other than to like look shocked at what's going on or look very excited at what's going on. It's not his story. He is learning the story. He is hearing the story. I mean, it obviously is his story as the narrator. Right. But it's a like almost a coming of age story for him, but through the stories of these two uncles of his.
Right.
If that makes sense at all.
It's secondhand.
It's secondhand Lions, exactly. And that's so I don't think we've at all explained what's going on in the story. Is his mother, played by Keira Sedgwick, she's a bad mother. She doesn't like her kid at all. She's not interested in her kid.
Yeah. It's not, I don't think it's that she doesn't like him. She's just so selfish that she does not put him in consideration with what she wants to do.
Right. And I'm sure there's feelings there, but like I don't think she likes him because all she talks about is finding the uncle's money, and when she comes to pick him up, she is completely okay with him going away. Like he has an emotional speech about it, but like I don't know, from a mother's standpoint, even with that emotional speech, it should still be like, but you're my son, like I need to protect you. And it's like, okay, yeah, go back, be with your uncles. All right, have a good one.
You know what? It will be easier. Yeah.
It will be easier.
I think this is a good idea.
It's just bad. And like, she drops
spoilers for the ending, but
yeah, sorry.
You get there. You get there though with this movie, and it's a fun ride.
Right, and that's like the least important aspect of the ending. There's so much other things that are that we won't spoil that are more heartfelt than that moment. That's like the least. Yeah. That's the least bit of glob at the third act there, but she drops her kid off at her uncle's house, his great uncle's house, in the middle of nowhere. I don't remember what state they're in.
I don't know.
They're out like on a farm out in the middle of nowhere. It's like a ranch home kind of thing, like just completely isolated. A miles hike to the mailbox, and the uncles have they have a shit ton of money supposedly. Nobody's seen it, but they have they're supposed to have all this money, and the mom's like, find out where the money is, and we'll be rich. Like, maybe you could become the heir or whatever. Money, and she drops her kid off, and he is scared as fuck by these two people because they're just like gruff southern old grandpas who sit on their decks with...
They know nothing about kids.
They know nothing about kids. They sit on their front porch drinking iced tea and shooting shotguns at traveling salesmen who come by. Like, it's hilarious, but from a child's standpoint, if you were stuck there, you'd be like, oh my god, how am I going to survive? It's a very fun story of him learning their back tales. They have a very expansive and fairy tale-ish backstory, which is just adorable. I love it. Yeah.
It's pretty great. It is, I will say, a little white saviory.
Yes, very much so.
Yes, but I don't think that it makes the two uncle characters rather, less endearing. If anything, like you're supposed to speculate whether or not these are true or not, true stories or not.
Right. Yeah.
Throughout the film. And I like the ways that they try to do that, because for the first thing, Walt, is this the second character that we've been talking about named Walt in this episode? I'm pretty sure.
No, I think one of the Walter is Father Goose, I think.
Yes. Okay. That's right. Okay. Yeah. Well, anyways, this Walt, Haley, he's not very trusting because his mom lies to him all the time.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know. And it's so fantastic that you, as a first-time viewer, are supposed to be like, why are they telling him this bullshit? And his mom comes back with this detective who tells him that they're bank robbers and stuff too. That's a bit of a spoiler, but he gets pulled in a lot of different directions. And as a kid, you're supposed to be able to just trust what the people you love tell you. But he's getting pulled in two different directions, and this movie is very much a coming-of-age movie, and him being able to decide what he wants to believe is a big part of the whole thing. And I think it's a very well-written movie.
I agree, yeah. There's a lot of elements to it that just keep coming into play. That, they bring in the lion, and the lion becomes a metaphor for the story, and it's kind of beautiful. And they just keep working in tiny new elements. Like, he meets this group of youngsters out at the bar, has a fight with them, and then their relationship with the youngsters grow for the next 20 minutes until the youngsters are out of the film. Like, it's just a bunch of small little moments. Like, it feels like you're reading like this big kind of fairy tale book. You know what it really reminded me of? It really reminded me of Big Fish. It's kind of like that kind of a story, or even Princess Bride. It feels like somebody reading you a fairy tale, and then you deciding whether or not you want to believe it.
Right.
And I love that kind of aspect of this. It's like a knockoff version of those two movies. Like, it's a rung below those two films, because I love those two movies.
Yeah, I love those two movies too. And honestly, like, I love all three of these movies, I'll even say. And I never really put together that similarity.
Right? Yeah, it just kind of occurred to me there. It does give me those kind of feels though, and I love it too, but like not at the same level that I love Big Fish. And there's a different kind of love for Secondhand Lions, because the other two films, Big Fish especially reminds me of my dad, and Secondhand Lions reminds me of my dad, but in the sense that I watched this with him a lot, so it's a more personal love for this movie. But I still find the other two movies more endearing, I guess. I don't know how to. I dug myself in a hole here. I don't know how to get out of it. But I do love this film.
Okay, good. Because it's lovable. I will say that I do have, besides the white savior stuff, I do have another negative for this movie, and that is that there's really only 4 women characters, 2 being his relatives, his mom and his, cousin. And they're awful. They're just the worst humans. And then 2 of them are in the story that Michael Caine is telling. And they don't even have any speaking lines, I don't think.
Yeah, it's a lot of the dialogue and stuff that is spoken and the storytelling is mouthed. It's mouthed.
It's mouthed, and Michael Caine dubs it.
It's fucking. I love it. It's like what is that movie with Ant-Man? It's like Ant-Man, where that one character just like whenever he's telling what's going on, he's doing all the dialogue for everybody.
It was done really well in that movie.
Yeah, not so well in this one, but still hilarious when it happened.
Still hilarious, and I don't know. It was fun. It kind of just was a reminder that this is what Walter is imagining while he's hearing the story.
Yeah, it's a very father-son oriented kind of story, so it's like a very male-centric. There is not a lot of female, especially no female character development. They all stay the exact same at like naggy throughout, and that is another part that
unreliable too. Jasmine is more put on a pedestal though too.
That has always bothered me too, but the fatheriness of this story, it's just good. I really do like this one a lot. Yeah. And then, I mean, the lion is a bit absurd and hard to believe when it happens, when it comes into play, because it's an old and domesticated lion, and they're just like, all right. I guess an old domesticated lion might not attack somebody, but alright. I feel like I don't know enough. I'm not a zookeeper. I know I've seen a lot of zookeepers who are cuddling with their lions and like, oh, look, it's just another big cat, really. And it's like, that's true. It's just another big cat after it eats a shit ton of meat.
Yeah, when its hunger is placated. Yeah, Jesus. Would not want to be in the pen when it's hungry.
Right. But I do like how that lion, becomes part of the tale. How it's like, you can look deeper into it and see a bigger message. It's kind of like Life of Pi, where it's like you can look into that tiger and see a different message there. This one is not as blatant as Life of Pi, but like there's more to the tiger than that, right. And I enjoyed that. There's a lot to this film that's just the comedy is great, the story is fantastical, and I just love. I'm a sucker for like old guy telling a story. That's always something I really like. I'm a huge Stephen King fan, and that's what all of his stories it seems like a guy sitting down lighting a cigarette while he's rocking in his wheelchair or in his rocking chair, and maybe his wheelchair nowadays, and he just tells you a story. Like I'm a sucker for that, and I give this film I'll give it 3 stars. I want to give it 3.5, but I'm gonna give it 3.
Sounds good. I really like this movie. I'm going to go ahead and give it a face and a half. I've always liked this movie. From the first time I watched it, and I was kind of worried it wouldn't hold up. And yes, there were some things that grabbed at me that, were negatives, but they did not outweigh my overall enjoyment and love and the really good feeling you get at the end of the movie. It is a very good feel-good movie. So, face and a half. That being said, I think for me, the obvious winner is Secondhand Lions.
Father Porky's Goose has no...
Porky's not even on the podium.
Porky's is nowhere even near 3rd place. It's been disqualified. Sorry. I was as I told you, and I'm very cautious to say this, but when I heard that my mother had recommended Porky's, I was like, oh dear God, I hope she did not recommend a Porky's trilogy triumvirate. I do not want to watch all 3 of those films because I knew it would be terrible.
Now they're going to have
it would be really hard to get through. If you want to offer a Porky's trilogy triumvirate, you can go down to patreon.com/greenandfaceless, become a patron, help us out, pitch in some money, and you can torture us with a Porky's trilogy triumvirate. Mother, do not recommend that, please. But yeah, I agree with you. I give it to Secondhand Lions. Father Goose, when I watched that, when I rewatched it, I was like, you know what? I'm a sucker for older romantic comedies. Audrey Hepburn era is like one of my favorite time in films. I just fucking love her entire filmography practically. They all have a little bit of issues with them, of course, but I just like a good 60s romantic comedy. And I didn't know if Secondhand Lions was going to hold up, but it fucking did. It beat out Father Goose and wins the threesome here.
Yeah, I can't say that I was surprised because I knew I liked this movie, but I was surprised at how much I liked Father Goose. It was pretty good. Their older movies are hit or miss for me because sometimes I always respect the acting in older movies because I think they paid more attention to their craft than artists do now. Yeah. Some artists obviously are out there every day working. They're running laps around whatever I can do. So
they're working, they're fucking.
They're working, they're fucking. That's our show.
Oh, I have been the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
And I am the Faceless Leon. Safe travels and good night. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of Fiction Works 19. If you like the show, please show your support by rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Like, follow, subscribe, wherever you might listen. We also now have a Patreon account. If you feel so inclined to support us in a financial manner, please become a patron by visiting patreon.com/greenandfaceless. You can also find more information about us on our Facebook account or on the FictionWorks19 Instagram account. Thank you so much for listening.